Welcome. This is Garth Riley sitting with Doug Anderson, and Durham Election 2010 is the website that prompted us to decide to use this formula or format of social media to do interviews. So, Doug, it's been quite a lively debate that you've had online where you've asked people running to fill out an environmental survey about what their feelings were, and you've had a pretty good response, right?
Yep. We've had, I think it's 136 candidates have responded. There's still some that haven't, and well, we're past the deadline now. But I'm very pleased with the response on it. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because you gave them an opportunity to have platform, and what you said on the website, which is Durham Election 2010.ca, right, is that you wanted to make sure if environment was going to be the issue, at least elect people that were actually believing in it before they didn't have to convince them once they were elected.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we found on that questionnaire is that there is a degree of coloring in terms of responses. There are some people that, quite frankly, are basically have answered it the way they thought it should be answered, rather than sincerely. But on the whole, you read between the lines and you figure out where things are really coming from.
Well, you may be reading between the lines, but tonight we're going to actually be speaking about not only the environment but other issues as well that concern the environment. And we deliberately did these debates to not really debates, more or less points of view from people that are not opposing one another, so we don't end up the juxtapositioning. Dave Gilbert joins us; he's on the far left of the screen, and Maurice Brenner joins us, and Doug Hawkins. Doug running for regional local councillor in Oshawa. Dave, former broadcaster, still can do it. So if you get to sit in the chair, want to come over
I'm
here?
still going to broadcast.
Are you?
Regardless.
Yeah, come on over, do this over here. And I'm doing like microcasting. And Maurice Brenner, over 20 years of public service and also human rights advocate as well. So good to have you here. We want to talk about a few things. Doug, your background is business, right?
I'm a businessman. I've owned my own investment firm for 23 years.
Right.
And I bring business skills to the table. Just as a matter of interest, I'm the only one in the lineup of candidates for regional council in Oshawa who has an MBA in my background. So I think it means I have a certain skill set that will make a difference and will enable us as a team to make better decisions.
Making smart business decisions is not just only about individuals, but Dave, you have because of your background in sports and in coaching and whatnot, you have a passion to try and get everybody to play on as a team, even though we may not all get along. And you're not seeing that.
No, not seeing that on council right now for the last 4 years. I think it's been a big disappointment to the people of Oshawa that I've spoken to and other people around. Council just can't seem to get along, and you need that team approach if you're going to be successful. As Doug says, you've got to get together, you've got to make decisions, and you can't have people going in different directions because you get what you have now in Oshawa.
It seems to be a problem that's happened over the years and continues to manifest, and councils can do that. You've been on a few councils, Maurice.
I was on Pickering Council 21 years. I've been out of office 4 years, but it has taught me how to be humble. It's taught me to understand the community, and it's important to really realize how frustrated the public really are when the people they elect, especially a mayor, is not listening.
You're a different man. I mean, I've had you on the shows over the years when I was on Rogers and on Checks TV, and you always had this sort of air of, if I may say so, an air of knowing and kind of that you had this certain strut to you. And then now I see a different Maurice Brenner.
Garth, you're right. Number one, when you're looking from the outside, you really can appreciate how you're not being, and as I said, not only not being listened to, but even worse, you begin to realize that bureaucratic wall that you run into. More importantly, you also see that elected officials, and I can say this, I've been there, are in a bubble. And that bubble is sheltered, and they surround themselves with people that tell you what you want to hear. The community tells you what you need to hear. That's what I've learned.
In this day of social media, we're certainly going to see more feedback on that, and being a part of social media now means that we can be in touch more often. And that idea of saying you will be in touch with people, you need to make yourself available on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube to be able to respond. This is a different time we're living in. Ever since Obama won, we now know that it's a different game. So I'm sure that most of you will have all your social media sites up and running, and we will be listening to the pulse of the community, because then we can make some better decisions. It's easy now for the public to get to us. Doug has some questions for you, so why don't we jump off on that right now? And Doug, why don't you start off with a question that probably stumped him?
Well, let's get into some sort of real scenarios there. And one of the real scenarios that exists in all councils right across the GTA is development issues. There is a perception on the part of public that whenever a developer puts forward a proposal that they know the ropes, they know the planners, they know how to get from square one to square 10, even before the public knows anything about it. And so by the time they're in square 10 and the public finds out about it, the public is under the impression that the deal is done, and they're basically fighting a rear gun action. So my question to all of you is, what's the problem here, and how do you solve it? Because frankly, you all want to represent those people, and those people are going to come back to you and say, okay, I got a problem. I don't want that development there. What are you going to do about it?
So,
Chris, let's start with Dave.
Well, could we identify, is that the way it works?
I don't think it works quite that way. My daughter's a planner and for a private company, and it doesn't quite work that way. Now, those people know how to get things done quicker because they know the system better. But the public takes responsibility in it too. You see the signs on future development properties, that rezoning application, what have you. The public can look into that. A lot of people don't, though, until it's too late for them to do that. They wait, they don't do anything, they don't know the system. And I think that, Doug, that's the thing. We need to educate people on how the system works better so that they understand it and know how to use the process better for themselves, so that they're alerted before something's already in the development phases. So.
Do you really think those signs work?
I think they do. I know some people that have looked at them and challenged
Hang
things.
on a second, I'm going to jump in because that's
Yeah,
what
go
I do.
ahead.
I see you, Maurice, going, maybe not. What do you say?
Very simply, the public are out-resourced. I've seen it. I've been to council meetings on both sides, and I have seen firsthand where public are intimidated if they do stand up, because the only tool they have is the Ontario Municipal Board if they're not happy. I've heard the public been told over and over again, oh, you don't want to go to the Ontario Municipal Board, you may have to pay costs. And you know what? That fear drives people away, and it scares people. The fact is that the municipality has got to level that playing field, and the only way to do that is to be able to make sure that not rely on the signs, because that's the problem. They rely on the basic minimal standards under the Planning Act, and you need to go beyond the Planning Act to make sure you engage the public.
That's
You
what I was
really
saying,
do.
though. You have to give the public more information so that they can use the system
But
better.
you've gotta
Not just
cha-
the signs.
but
I've
you've
just
got-
said the signs because it is there.
But
there are other things
the
they have to do.
municipalities only go to the minimal standards. You're right, what you're saying about
Yeah.
educate the public.
And that's why we're here,
But-
because we want to do more than what they're doing now.
And that's
Throw over to Doug.
Throw it over to Doug there.
I think my two colleagues have really made a similar point, and I would agree with that. As councillors, we are legislators, yes, but we're also educators and advocates. And I think we have a responsibility to try and level the playing field, to see that there may be an inequality in resourcing, and give our citizens an opportunity to understand and speak up on development issues before they become a problem. The answer should not be that they have to appeal something to the OMB. Let them be involved from the beginning. I think there's really 5 things we have to look at whenever there's a development proposal. One would be the impact on the community. Another would be the impact on traffic. There would be the impact on financing. What I mean by that, we had in my municipality, Oshawa, we had a recent major development called the
About 20
Dundurham.
seconds is all I
The
got.
Dundurham development for students, but it involved really some significant giveaways in terms of tax breaks, tax deferrals, development charge breaks, and the public had no knowledge about this until now, until after it's been done.
We got to 4. We're going to have to break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about. Everybody keeps talking about the official plan. It's like this idea that there's something out there that they're comparing it to, and yet there's these new developments that show up, and people go, "Well, we didn't know it was coming." Like, what happened, Jack? Anyways, we'll be back more of these debates with Doug Anderson, who's a little less animated than I am, but inside he's a tiger. Stay with us.